What if I told you there are creatures so strange that if they were the size of a dog, you'd probably never leave your house again? Right now, millions of bizarre microscopic animals are crawling, swimming, hunting.
Millions of bizarre microscopic animals are crawling, swimming, hunting, and surviving in places you'd never expect. So watch until the end, because the last microscopic animal scientists discovered looks so impossible, many people thought the first images were fake. Take a deep breath, because we're about to shrink. Not 10 times, not 100 times, but over 1,000 times smaller. Welcome to a world almost no human has ever seen with their own eyes. A hidden universe where monsters aren't measured in meters. They're measured in micrometers. Here, a single drop of pond water isn't just water. It's an entire planet filled with hunters, survivors, shapeshifters, and creatures that look more like aliens than animals from Earth. Some have spinning mouths. Some can survive outer space. Some haven't changed for hundreds of millions of years. And one of them can literally come back to life after decades without water. The craziest part? Most of these incredible creatures are living around you right now. You just can't see them. Today, we're counting down the weirdest microscopic animals ever discovered. And trust me, each one gets stranger than the last. Let's begin with one that looks like a spinning alien machine. Before we meet our first microscopic animal, remember this. Everything you're about to see is completely real. No CGI. At a scale our eyes were never designed to see. And our countdown begins with a creature that looks like it escaped from another planet. No science fiction. Just nature.
Meet the rotifer. At first glance, it doesn't even look alive. Its transparent body reveals almost everything happening inside it. You can actually watch food travel through its tiny body, like looking through a living glass machine. But the strangest part is its head. Look closely. Those spinning rings aren't teeth, and they aren't wheels. They're thousands of tiny hair-like structures called cilia. They spin so fast, they create powerful water currents. To a microscopic organism, it's like standing next to a giant tornado. These spinning currents pull food directly into the rotifer's mouth, making it one of the most efficient tiny feeders on Earth.
And despite being smaller than the width of a human hair, rotifers have a complete digestive system, muscles, a brain, eyes that can detect light, and even tiny jaws that crush food. Yes, this invisible animal has jaws. Scientists have discovered rotifers almost everywhere. Freshwater ponds, moss, wet soil, even tiny puddles after rain. A single drop of pond water can contain dozens of them, living entire lives without anyone ever noticing. But here's where things become even stranger. Some rotifers can survive being almost completely dried out.
When water disappears, they enter a dormant state. Their bodies almost completely shut down. Then, days, months, or even years later, the moment water returns, they wake up again, as if nothing happened. Imagine pressing the pause button on life itself.
And somehow,
Nature figured out how. If you thought that was impossible, wait until you meet the next creature. Because unlike the rotifer, this one doesn't just survive extreme conditions, it survives the impossible. And it's often called the toughest animal on Earth. Imagine every living thing on Earth suddenly disappeared. No trees, no animals, no humans. Now imagine one tiny creature was still alive. It sounds impossible, but scientists believe one microscopic animal could outlive almost everything else. Meet the legendary tardigrade. Most people call it the water bear. And the moment you see it, you'll understand why. With its chubby body, 8 tiny legs, and slow, clumsy walk, it almost looks adorable. But don't let its appearance fool you. Because this tiny animal is one of the greatest survivors nature has ever created. It can survive temperatures colder than Antarctica and hotter than boiling water. It can survive crushing pressure deep beneath the ocean and almost complete vacuum in outer space. Yes, outer space. In one famous scientific experiment, researchers sent tardigrades into space without protection.
They were exposed to the freezing vacuum, intense radiation, and conditions that would kill almost every known animal. Yet, many of them survived. And when they returned to Earth, they simply carried on living, as if nothing had happened. But that's still not the craziest part. When their environment becomes too dry, tardigrades curl into a tiny ball called a ton. Inside this state, their metabolism slows to almost zero. They're not exactly dead, but they're barely alive. Time almost stops for them. Years later, sometimes even decades, add a few drops of water, and incredibly, they wake up again. Imagine falling asleep today and waking up 30 years later, perfectly healthy.
That's exactly why scientists have spent decades studying these tiny survivors, not because they're dangerous, but because they might help us understand how life could survive on other planets, or even help humans travel farther into space one day. Nature has already solved problems that scientists are still trying to understand, and somehow one of its greatest secrets is smaller than a grain of sand. But if you think surviving space makes a creature strange, wait until you meet the next animal. Because unlike the water bear, this one doesn't just hunt, it attacks with a weapon so fast, scientists needed slow-motion microscopes just to watch it happen. And once you see it, you'll never believe something so tiny could be such a deadly predator.
Let's meet creature number 8, the weirdest microscopic animals ever found. The water bear proved that survival can be almost impossible. But what if I told you? One microscopic hunter is so fast, its attack happens quicker than the blink of an eye. To the creatures living in a drop of water, it's the equivalent of a lion mixed with a guided missile. Creature 8, Didinium, the tiny assassin. Meet Didinium. At first glance, it looks harmless. Just a tiny barrel-shaped creature spinning peacefully through the water. But don't let its appearance fool you, because this microscopic animal is a ruthless hunter. Its favorite prey is another microscopic organism called paramecium. The moment a Didinium spots one, the chase begins. It spins through the water, getting closer and closer, until, bam! It fires tiny needle-like structures that latch onto its prey almost instantly. The paramecium has almost no chance of escaping. Then something even stranger happens. Instead of chewing, Didinium slowly swallows its prey whole. Sometimes the victim is almost the same size as the hunter itself. Imagine swallowing something nearly your own size. It sounds impossible, yet Didinium does it every day. In a single drop of pond water, tiny battles like this happen constantly. An invisible world filled with predators, prey, and survival. And most people walk past it without ever knowing it exists. But if you thought swallowing prey whole was strange, the next creature doesn't hunt. It builds perfectly symmetrical glass houses. Creature 7. Diatoms, nature's tiny glass masterpieces. Imagine finding a creature made of glass. Not fragile human-made glass, but natural glass, crafted by nature itself. Meet the diatom. At first, they look like tiny jewels floating in water, but under a microscope, they become breathtaking. Each diatom is surrounded by an incredibly detailed shell made from silica, the same material found in glass. Some look like stars. Others resemble tiny wheels, snowflakes, or works of art carved by an expert sculptor. The most incredible part? No two species look exactly the same. Scientists have discovered more than 100,000 different kinds, and many believe thousands more remain undiscovered. Despite their beauty, diatoms perform one of the most important jobs on Earth. They produce an enormous amount of the oxygen we breathe.
In fact, many scientists estimate that roughly 1 out of every 5 breaths you take exists because of microscopic organisms like these. Think about that. Every time you inhale, you may be breathing oxygen created by creatures smaller than a grain of dust. Without them, life on Earth would look completely different. Tiny, beautiful, and incredibly important. Nature often hides its greatest masterpieces where almost nobody thinks to look. But now, our countdown takes an even stranger turn. Because the next microscopic animal doesn't just survive or hunt, it can completely change its body, stretching, flowing, and transforming into.
And watching it move feels like looking at a real-life alien. Let's meet creature number 6. Creature 6 and 5. So far, we've seen tiny hunters, glass architects, and animals that can survive outer space. But what you're about to see next doesn't even seem to have a real body. No bones, no muscles, no brain. Yet somehow it hunts, eats, and solves problems. Meet one of the strangest living things ever discovered.
Creature number 6, amoeba, the shapeshifter. At first, an amoeba looks like nothing more than a tiny blob of jelly. No face, no legs, no eyes, nothing that even resembles an animal. But don't let its simple appearance fool you, because this microscopic creature can completely change its shape every few seconds. Instead of walking, it slowly pushes part of its body forward, almost like living liquid. Scientists call these extensions pseudopods, or false feet. Imagine your own arm suddenly becoming your leg, and then turning back into an arm again. That's essentially how an amoeba moves. But movement isn't its only talent. When food gets too close, the amoeba performs something incredible. Instead of biting, it simply wraps its entire body around its prey, like a slow-moving hug that never lets go. The victim becomes trapped, completely surrounded. Then, the amoeba digests it from the inside. No teeth, no jaws, just a living cell using its own body as a trap. Even stranger, an amoeba is made of only one single cell. Everything it needs to survive
Fits inside that one tiny microscopic cell. If humans were built like that, our entire body, brain, heart, lungs, everything would all fit inside a single cell. Nature somehow made it work. But if you think changing shape is unbelievable, the next creature looks like it came straight from an alien movie.
Creature 5, Stentor, the giant trumpet. Imagine looking into a microscope and seeing a glowing blue trumpet swimming through the water. That's exactly what a Stentor looks like. Compared to most microscopic organisms, it's a giant. Some species grow large enough to be seen with the naked eye as a tiny moving dot. Its body stretches like a trumpet. Around its mouth, thousands of tiny hairs beat together, creating spinning currents in the water.
Anything small enough gets pulled toward the opening. Food, tiny bacteria, even smaller microorganisms all become trapped. Watching a stentor feed is like watching a miniature tornado. But here's the part that amazed scientists. If a stentor is cut into pieces, it can regenerate. As long as one piece contains the right internal structures, it can rebuild itself. Imagine losing half your body and simply growing it back. Even more surprising, stentor can actually react to repeated danger.
Experiments have shown that when disturbed again and again, it changes its behavior. Instead of repeating the same response, it tries something different. Scientists still study this behavior today because it raises fascinating questions about how even the simplest organisms make decisions. It's a reminder that intelligence doesn't always look the way we expect. But now, our countdown enters the top 4. And from this point forward, every creature becomes stranger than the last. The next microscopic animal
Doesn't swim.
It doesn't crawl. Instead, it hides in plain sight, wearing a beautiful glass shell, while silently waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Creature number 4 is unlike anything you've ever seen.
Creature 4 and 3. By now, you've probably realized something incredible. The smaller life becomes, the stranger it gets. But the next creature doesn't chase its food. It waits patiently until its victim gets too close. Then it attacks with one of the fastest weapons in the microscopic world.
Creature 4, Vorticella, the lightning spring. Meet Vorticella. At first glance, it looks like a tiny flower floating underwater. It spends most of its life attached to plants, rocks, or anything solid. Its bell-shaped body is surrounded by tiny moving hairs that create swirling currents. These currents pull bacteria and food straight into its mouth. Simple, right? Not exactly, because Vorticella has a secret weapon. Its body is attached by an incredibly thin stalk that works like a microscopic spring. The moment danger appears, that spring snaps shut in less than 1,000th of a second. In less than 1,000th of a second, the entire animal disappears almost instantly. Imagine sitting in your chair, and the moment someone surprises you, your whole body shoots backward faster than the blink of an eye. Scientists still study this incredible movement because it's one of the fastest biological motions ever recorded for a single-celled organism. Nature somehow built a living spring at a scale smaller than dust. But if speed impresses you, the next creature has something even stranger. It carries an invisible weapon that explodes.
Creature number 3, Stentor corallius?
No, Hydra, the immortal hunter. Meet Hydra. Unlike everything we've seen so far, Hydra isn't just one cell. It's a tiny animal, and it's one of the most fascinating predators on Earth. Its body looks simple, a tiny tube with several long tentacles waving through the water. Peaceful, almost beautiful. But every tentacle is covered with thousands of microscopic harpoons. These special cells are called nematocysts. The moment tiny prey brushes against them, they fire instantly. The harpoon shoots out, injecting toxins and grabbing the victim before it can escape. It's one of the fastest attacks in the entire animal kingdom.
And here's the part that amazed scientists. Hydra hardly seems to age. Unlike most animals, its stem cells constantly renew themselves. Under the right conditions, scientists believe Hydra may not experience aging in the way humans do. Imagine never growing old. No wrinkles, no weakening body, just continuous renewal. And here's the part that amazed scientists. Hydra hardly seems to age. Unlike most animals, its stem cells constantly renew themselves. Under the right conditions, scientists believe Hydra may not experience aging in the way humans do.
Imagine never growing old. No wrinkles, no weakening body, just continuous renewal. Although Hydra can still die from disease, injury, or predators, its biology has completely changed the way scientists think about aging itself. One tiny freshwater animal is helping researchers search for answers to one of humanity's oldest questions. Can aging ever be slowed down? But somehow, our countdown still isn't over, because the final 2 creatures are even harder to believe. One of them can survive frozen for decades, while the other looks so alien, many people refuse to believe it's even real. And creature number 1 is waiting.
We've reached the final 2. And if you've made it this far, you're about to discover why scientists say the microscopic world is stranger than science fiction. Creature number 2, Bdelloid rotifer, the animal that refused to die. Imagine falling asleep today and waking up 30 years later. No food, no water, no movement. Yet somehow, you're still alive. It sounds impossible.
But that's exactly what the Bdelloid rotifer can do. When its environment dries out, this tiny animal enters an incredible survival state. Its body loses almost all of its water. Its metabolism slows to nearly zero. life almost stops. Days pass. Months pass. Sometimes even decades. Then, one rainy day, a single drop of water touches its body, and something unbelievable happens. It slowly begins to move again, as if it had simply taken a very long nap. Scientists have even discovered that these incredible animals can repair damaged DNA after surviving extreme conditions. It's one of the reasons researchers continue studying them today, because understanding how they survive could one day help improve medicine, protect crops, or even support future space missions.
Creature 1, Gastrotrick, the alien that lives on Earth. The Gastrotrick.
If someone told you this creature came from another planet, you'd probably believe them. Its transparent body reveals tiny internal organs. Its head is covered with strange sensory structures. Its body is lined with microscopic hairs, allowing it to glide smoothly through water. At its tail, tiny adhesive glands let it stick to surfaces and release itself.
Creature 1, Gastrotrick, the alien that lives on Earth. The Gastrotrick.
If someone told you this creature came from another planet, you'd probably believe them. Its transparent body reveals tiny internal organs. Its head is covered with strange sensory structures. Its body is lined with microscopic hairs, allowing it to glide smoothly through water. At its tail, tiny adhesive glands let it stick to surfaces and release itself.
Subscribe now because we've only uncovered a tiny fraction of Earth's hidden world. Like this video and I'll see you in the next adventure.